Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to This Week in WoW for the week of November 25th. Happy Thanksgiving to any of my fellow Americans celebrating Thanksgiving this week. You know, it's something I always look forward to as somebody who loves to eat. Before we get started with what's going on in the game, let's of course shout out the Patreon supporters. We have Mario Casillas, RetPallyRocks, Nick Rada, Peter Burnham, RetSpecOps, and Joe Glocks. Thank you guys so much for that continued support. I appreciate it very, very much. Now, let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the game this week in World of Warcraft. This week, of course, we already mentioned Thanksgiving, but we have the Pilgrim's Bounty still going on until Sunday. So you have a few more days to do that. They added a bread backpack, I believe. So nothing major, like kind of like I mentioned, it probably wasn't going to be anything major, but they did add a bread backpack, maybe something else, but that's like the main thing that I saw. So you do have that option to do that. We, of course, have the ongoing Warcraft anniversary as well. Had some very helpful comments from people who actually went to the anniversary, and there's basically like nothing new to do there. Some people said that I suggested that maybe the BRD thing was still there. Apparently that's not there anymore either. So it's pretty much nothing to do there. So I was kind of right, but I was trying to like give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt that there might be something to do. But it's a pretty lackluster anniversary. Granted, last year's was extremely epic and ended up resulting in this cool mount, by the way, that I'm on right now. So last year's was pretty epic. This year's not so much, but I'm not too worried about that. There's plenty of other stuff going on. We do have Time Walking Dungeon event going on as well this week, and our PvP brawl is South Shore versus Tyrant Mill. I don't believe there's anything coming up at the end of the week, no. So there we go. So that's what we have going on in retail this week. Speaking of retail, I actually did do some keys on retail this week. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I've been doing Legion Remix, Midnight Beta, of course. But I actually played a little bit of regular retail this week. Had a lot of fun. I will say Ret Paladin is way more fun on retail than it is in Midnight Beta. That's not saying much. We have a long way to go in beta. But it was nice to actually pump, do a ton of damage, you know, and have a lot of fun playing my spec. So I did play a little bit, and I was doing so because of the MDI. I don't talk about it too much because people just aren't super interested in the MDI and stuff like that, esports in general, I guess. There's just not a ton of interest, honestly. Although the viewership was pretty good for this MDI. It was absolutely epic. It was fantastic. There was 4, instead of usually it's like 1 or 2 good teams, like one team runs away with it, or there's like 2 teams. There was legitimately 4 really good teams. Only 3, you know, ended up with like the same kind of scoring. But Mandatory also is a proven good team as well. And there was just amazing teams, and even the competition below them wasn't that far behind. So it was a very good competition. It was fun. They were pulling off all kinds of new world records, and just amazing clutchness. Miscount was the winner. Congratulations to Miscount. That's who I was going for in this particular matchup because they just hadn't won before, and you know, I just was rooting for them because of that, honestly. I don't know anything about them really. But I know that I've seen them before, and they never usually pull through and win. So I was kind of rooting for them, and kind of like an underdog story, even though they are, you know, a favorite. You know, I was rooting for them, and they won. So congratulations to them. But that's what actually got me into retail. I'm like, well, let's do some keys. You know, that was fun to watch. Let me go do some keys too. You know, pretend I'm one of those players or something. You know, not legitimately pretend, but you know, just the idea of it, the imagination, whatever. But so. Other than that, there isn't much else to talk about at retail. The anniversary is kind of lame. Not much to do on Thanksgiving holiday. We do have stuff coming up though with the next patch very, very soon. So we will be jumping into retail more and more often. I'm pretty much done with Legion Remix, so I'll be on retail a good bit more than I have been over the past month and a half even. I'll be on a lot more. When it comes to Legion Remix, like I said, pretty much coming to an end there. I haven't been mentioning the updates in these videos, which I should have done. So like the last update was Argus, that's out. So people are doing Argus and finishing up all their achievements. I still technically need to finish some of the questing achievements, I think. I don't know if there's any rewards for that though. But I bought all the items that I could with bronze, and you know, I have everything that I wanted to do. I got done. I got all the achievements done. I did everything solo in Mythic Plus. I had a great time in Legion Remix, and I actually plan to go even harder on whatever remix they do next, because I want to do my solos again, but I want to do them much faster than what I did this time. So I'm actually going to I'm going to grind the next remix. I had a lot of fun doing it. Had a lot of new people find the channel. I'm very blessed for that. Very thankful for that. It was great. I overall enjoyed Legion Remix, and I had a lot of fun doing it, which is the most important thing, right? To actually enjoy it. And I totally enjoyed trying to solo those keys. The only thing I didn't enjoy was Maw of Souls being bugged and Eye of Azera not being super soloable past a certain level because of the way the boss works. But overall, I enjoyed it so much. When it comes to Midnight Beta, still having good time on there, testing things out, testing some ret stuff out. I did a lot of ret videos, just kind of getting. So what I like to do, if I've never really explained this before, what I like to do, if you're someone who watches the channel, is I like to get my first principles set. I like to get my baseline, my foundation set. So I do a lot of videos right at the beginning, right? So I'm saying this is what's wrong, this is what's good, this is what needs change. What about this? I talk about these different things. And then over the course of the beta, we can see how those things evolve. And hopefully they change in the way that I'm predicting and hoping for and stuff like that. And then, you get to be like, hey, look, I was right about this. Or, hey, I was actually wrong about this. And so I like to just set my baseline early on what my predictions are, what my thoughts are. And that's a lot of what I did this past week. Now, this coming week, maybe, obviously we're hoping for some changes and some updates, and so we'll be covering that. If not, we'll break it down even more and, get in more nitty-gritty on the things that are wrong and hope that they get fixed as well. One other note on the Midnight Beta, obviously there's been this whole ongoing war on add-ons and all this kind of stuff, right? And the big one that was the last few days was like, the damage meter is not good enough. The damage meter is not good enough in Midnight Beta. And so WoW actually released a post shortly before I started recording this video, and they're like, yeah, this is like stage 1 of the damage meter. Like, we have other internal damage meters already. We just wanted to roll out the basic one that works, get feedback on it, but we have all these other things coming to it. There's going to be a bunch of these other things you're asking for. Those things are coming, and in fact, most of them they said will be in about 2 weeks or something like that. So they have a plan. They're trying to probably stick to a plan of development. And so in 2 weeks, a newer, better version of details, or not details, but damage meter will be out on the beta. And then they still have months to get that even better than that. And so the reality is, that's what I've been saying, right? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn that much. I am tooting it a little bit, but I'm right a lot when it comes to WoW and the WoW's development, because just simply all you have to do is take your emotions out of it. Just operate on a little bit, and many of you, if not all of you, have, especially if you follow my channel, have common sense. So it's like, just remove your emotions and think about it, and then you'll come to the correct conclusion. Like, a lot of people just happen to think, well, this is the damage meter they put out, this is how it's going to ship in 3 months. Oh, everything's ruined and the game is ruined. And a rational person goes, well, this is the first time they've ever rolled out a damage meter, so they're going to just roll out the most basic version of it, see how it works when tons of players use it, collect their internal data, collect external data, and then start iterating on it. And they probably have internal builds, which is already what I had said. They probably have internal builds already that are more advanced than what they currently have, and then they just turn those on or switch them on when they deem appropriate. I also said that they were going to turn it on for end game testing, because the raid testing and the Mythic Plus testing went live, and which is exactly what they said in their blue post. They turned it on even though it wasn't fully implemented yet, because they wanted people to have something to see damage on testing. Otherwise, it would be like, a lot of people wouldn't want to test, honestly. They could still get data if you didn't have that, but you, as a player, wouldn't want to test if you couldn't see your own numbers. So they wanted to have a damage meter up at least. So I expect to see huge improvements over the next couple weeks, and I expect, or small improvements, and I expect to see huge improvements by the time it goes live. And if it goes live and it's not like, I would say 75 or 80% of what like details is, that's when I'll be like, hey, they dropped the ball. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, they dropped the ball. But I believe they will. I think they'll get it to 75, 80% of what details is. I think they could even get it to like 90% of what details is, and I think most people are going to be happy with that. So that was a little bit of midnight beta news that came out right before I started recording this. So like I said, this week I'll be probably no more Legion Remix. I might, if I do Legion Remix, what I'll do is I will maybe even just go live on my channel or something and just keep it live. I have stuff I have to do during the day, so I'm not someone. If you've ever seen me stream before, I only stream for like a couple hours at a time. But what I'll do is, if I do any Legion remix, something I kind of wanted to do, but it's just so hard for me to do, is I'll just like go live all day. I might be in and out of my computer room even, but I'll go live all day and help people get achievements on Legion remix or something like that. If people need achievements still, like the plus 49, the plus 40, whatever, and I would just do plus 49s or whatever for people. I could just keep lowering my key to do it. And run people through it. Maybe I'll do that. That's no promise, but because it's very hard for me to do. If I had time to do it, I would just do it. I don't, I would love to help people out, but I might do that. But other than that, probably no Legion remix. I'll be on retail. I might even try to pug the raid a little bit, since I completely checked out on the raid since my guild was not raiding this tier. I might even check out the raid a little bit more now that I'm like in full gear. Maybe do some more Mythic Plus. I still have a couple items I could get best in slot in as well. So I'll be doing that. And of course, I'll be doing a lot on Midnight Beta. Whenever there's an update, though, to Ret Paladin or anything on Midnight Beta, that's probably where I'll be focusing. So that's it for this one, though. Probably a little bit long, but that's okay. We had a lot to talk about. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot just from you clicking subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon link down below. Other than that, everybody, have a good one.